Hi, and welcome to the first week of World History 2. As we get started in this course, I just want to make sure that you're aware of all the resources that you see in the first module of Moodle. You want to make sure that you go through all of those and that you continue to refer back to them, just because they really are. I keep them current, and they really do contain a lot of good information for getting through this course and knowing what's coming next. The one thing I don't have up there is your writing assignment for the end of the term, and I will hope to put that up pretty soon just so that you kind of understand what I'm looking for. The only other thing I don't have up there yet are instructions for how to upload writing assignments to Moodle. So if you haven't done that yet, I'll also put something up there to help you through it. But I'm supposed to stay within 4 minutes, so the first week, what we're really going to be doing is, one, introducing ourselves, and two, just kind of taking a picture of where the world was in or around 1500. And in order to understand where the world was in 1500, it's also really important to understand where Europe was. And you can see that's one of the biases of Ferguson, is that we are going to always be keeping one foot in Europe. And so I'd bring your attention to this nursery rhyme, and this nursery rhyme, of course, is all about the bubonic plague. This is a plague that hit Europe particularly hard in the middle of the 14th century, and it's really important in terms of setting up modernity, because what it does is it changes a lot of things. It's, of course, a horrible plague. Lots of people die, and it really does ravage Europe, and it does so over the course of these 3, 4, 5 years, and you can actually see it move here on this map, which is kind of interesting. As it spreads, you see it come in and almost hit the Mediterranean coasts first and then spread through Europe. But the bubonic plague, of course, being this horrible disease that you die from rather awfully, with these bleeding and these huge buboes that are on you, and it is, of course, transmitted by a flea. And you can see the bubo there on that girl. But apparently it's incredibly painful, too, way to die. So basically these big buboes appear on you and then you die. And so it's this, it would have looked like, if we put ourselves back in the 1300s, this would have looked literally like hell and death are walking among us. And to see this kind of horror and to see these almost leaking human beings would be absolutely horrible. Here's some older pictures of the buboes. They appeared kind of in your groin, in your armpits, or up around your neck. They did occur. But where did the plague come from? It came from China, as does most influenza, actually. And it comes via the trade routes. And so we're definitely not saying that trade did not exist before all of the Age of Discovery, but you can see there's a lot of sea trade, and there was the overland trade through what, of course, here is the Silk Road. And what's carried by those trades is, of course, the rat, and the rat has fleas. And these, of course, are modern pictures, but I always think that they're pretty great pictures. And what the bubonic plague does is it basically kills a lot of people. And in killing a lot of people, all of a sudden feudalism doesn't work anymore. And what's really important is in the decades after the bubonic plague, Europe is going to transform itself from a land-based economy into a money-based economy. And that is what's so important in terms of funding both our Renaissance artists and our explorers. And we are going to want to make more money. And so it is important to understand why this shift happened. And it's not just the plague, of course, but it's one of those things that you can kind of look at and then see changes that come after. The power of the church also becomes a lot more suspect, because the church couldn't stop the plague. And so, again, that sets us up, because we're going to be looking at the Reformation in coming weeks. So when we're thinking about the Triumph of Death here, which is actually a later painting, but it was based on an Italian fresco, also called the Triumph of Death. Death is on people's minds, as Ferguson talks about. And Europe is a place that is a very dark place coming out of the 1300s and the 1500s. But it's poised in so many ways to get out of that place. And when we think of the world in 1500, we're talking about really in North America, societies that are not quite civilizations. Meso and South America, of course, have what we would call true civilizations. They had actual cities, organizations, structures. They aren't nearly as big as some of our Eurasian civilizations, but they definitely are civilizations at this time. African societies, particularly because of geography, are still diverse. Islam is just getting kind of rocking and rolling, coming out of the Middle East and Northern Africa. And then, of course, China, we have the Ming Dynasty, which is the heart and really the epitome and the height of Chinese political system. Really, they were technologically advanced, and they were united for the most part. You see one written language that actually stretches from the north of China down through into where they now speak Cantonese. That didn't exist in Europe. Not one unified political ruler or language system. That had all gone with the Roman Empire. So we're really looking at a fragmented Europe versus a very unified China. But as Ferguson's going to take us through, things didn't necessarily continue on that path. So that's kind of the picture of the world in 1500, and that's way longer than 4 minutes. I promised you I will never let these go so far again. But I just wanted to give you a snapshot of kind of where we're starting from. And we're going to go on from here. So I hope you enjoy the course, and see you later.